Sunlight creeps through my window pane. Dreams of stars, now a faint refrain. Coffee brews and thoughts collide in this early morning ride. Wake up world, let's start the day. Insight flows in a bright array. Questions dance like morning dew. In this space, it's me and you. Coffee chats with Melissa. Every cup was a whisper. Conversations open doors. Spilling thoughts forevermore. Ideas bubble crisp and bright. Words take flight in morning light. Consult the heart, make it sing. New perspectives on each wing. Every thought becomes so clear. From stations and bubbling streams, waking up to brand new dreams. Coffee chats with Melissa. Every cup was a whisper. Conversation.
Well, good morning, guys. Listen, it's Saturday. I see you will with one eye open. I welcome you guys. It's Saturday. You're showing up on your weekend early in the morning. For some, it's 6 a.m. where I am. It is 9 a.m. in Florida. And if you're anywhere else in the world, welcome for lunch or dinner or whatever it is. Kind of excited about this topic. I know a lot of you know who I am. And so for those of you who don't, let me just take 2 seconds to say hello. My name is Melissa Houston. I am the cultivator of dreams and motivator of human capital. And what that means is I help people like you figure out what they want to be when they grow up, get a plan of action together, and then hold you accountable. And sometimes that's business owners. Sometimes that's leadership within the business. Sometimes that's individuals who are just trying to figure out their life at home. I really have worked with everybody from students to mayors to founders. I've done startup after startup, many still in existence doing their thing. Others haven't seen success all the way through. And so I've lived it all. And the truth is, that's what I bring. I bring experience, I bring mindset, I bring Venn diagrams and bubbles and circles and fun and glitter and elementary concepts. So that's kind of who I am. If you want to learn more, go to documentthenact.com. I do believe it is the premise in which all success lies. You write it down and get to work on it. So go check out the website. Go follow me on YouTube. If you're having issues with LinkedIn, where I'm streaming from most often, that's a great backup plan. Also, guys, it doesn't hurt for you to help me monetize one day. One day I want to sit on the beach and have my YouTube paying me to drink my little umbrella drinks. But also, if we spread the message further, the ripple goes wider, and then the work I'm doing just helps more. And that's really the goal. So thank you so much for showing up. I'm going to say hi to people in the comments, Lisa and Aaron and Joel and Jeremy. Hi, welcome. Bill, I'm so excited you're here. This might wake you up. I hope you're dancing. I know that song always gets me going. And then Aaron had some dental work done yesterday, and so I'm just grateful he's here with a mouthful of gauze, I am sure. Yeah, he says his face feels like it's been smacked with a frying pan. And then again, thank you, Kenneth Dunner, for inviting me to my own event. I told him he could write me down as a maybe for that RSVP when he sent me the link, but I appreciate him so much for sending those out. So welcome, guys. How are you doing? Where are you? How are you feeling? Are you snowed in? Do you have sunshine? I would love to know, because I know everybody's kind of in a different spot. Today's topic had me thinking. I really struggle sometimes to come up with topics that I think will be engaging for you guys, that don't just reflect maybe what I'm going through. But the truth is that this show started because of stuff I was going through in my life. My mom had passed, my client had passed away. It's one of the reasons I wasn't seeing a business to the end, was some of those changes. And it was just so many there were so many friends, so many relationships, so many connections on LinkedIn, so many facets of what I was doing at that time, that it was hard to keep up with myself, let alone catch everybody else up. And so what I did was I used this new tool that LinkedIn had at the time called audio events to open up a space where I got to speak to the masses, very comparable to what we're doing here, but it wasn't broadcasted beyond that live event. It wasn't saved or recorded in any way. And it allowed us to really have some open communication about some hard stuff, which predominantly was my life, because as a coach, I like to live by example. I like to show you, if I can do it, you can do it. It's kind of who I am as an older sister and big cousin and all of the things I've lived my whole life. But we're doing it a little different now. This is recorded, so just be mindful in the comments. If you have something you would like to share anonymously, you're welcome to do that on LinkedIn. Just message me there. It's the only chat I will monitor during the show, because it's a lot to take care of. But so glad you guys are here. I'm so glad for my network on LinkedIn. It's been a phenomenal journey. And now we are on Facebook. We're also on YouTube. I tried to go live on TikTok to say good morning this morning, and they decided they needed to re-verify who I was. And so sorry, TikToky. Here we go. So let's talk about ROI, activity versus action. What is activity, right? Versus action. It sounds like the same thing. And it can be. I just feel like taking action, in my mind, is to produce an outcome, right? To produce desired results. And activity could be something where we just enjoy the process. Think about swimming from one side of the pool to the other versus letting the lazy river take you wherever it goes. One is an activity, one is action. Right now, are both an action? Is rest an action? Absolutely. And so I think we're going to get into some nuanced discussions about vocabulary, but for my purposes today, we're going to look at activity as something we can do, be part of, participate in, but maybe it's not a building activity, right? Maybe it's not an action that will create outcomes. There are definitely ways to fight this. The lazy river will create maybe some stress relief. It will create an outcome of relaxation, and that's cool. But as an action-based accountability person, stress is usually less than 1%. Relaxation, like the solution for stress, temporarily, that Band-Aid, take a break, is not always what I'm looking for. I want to prevent your need to have to detach fully. Now, I want you to rest. I want you to have that time every day. But I want to create a life where you don't have to escape. And I'm going to be honest, Oprah put this in my brain first. She talked about her bedroom. She said when she goes into her room, she doesn't want to work. She wants to go find a place of peace. She is actively doing nothing in that space, and that is her activity in that room. She is resting. I want to talk about everywhere but that space, right? And that's kind of the back and forth we're going to do today, because it's going to be up to you to decide how this conversation fits your life, your perspective, your mindset. I'm just sharing my own. So it's okay if you don't believe or agree. Feel free to share your perspective, but just know I'm not thinking that I'm the end all be all on this discussion. It's just my perspective shared for you to process. That said, let's dive in. Thoughts rise freely, action grounds them. How many times a day do you get a new thought? An idea, something that gets you excited. Maybe you have a post concept, something that you're like, man, let me move on this. This is a great $1 million idea. And do you write them down? Because I am a dreamer, and I'm not the only one. John Lennon, right? How do you capture those dreams? Do you just let them float? Is it something that while you're on the lazy river, they come and go just like the waves, just like your friends? You're not in control. You're just kind of there for the ride, enjoying them as they float in and out? Or is it something that moves you so much you're like, I can't forget that? Even if it's as simple as I have to call my friend. I miss my friend. Let me remember to call them, right? How do you ground your thoughts? How do you make sure you don't lose something that was so important to you in that moment that it popped into your brain, no matter what you were doing, and then you don't want to forget? I know my friend Felipe loves his notes app. It's something he talks about often. I'm a big fan of my planners. I love a good happy planner. If I had to pick a company that exists, that is the one I like to use most. In a pinch, if I'm not creating my own custom planner for myself, which is really my favorite thing, I will just pop in and grab a happy planner. They're not sponsoring me by any means. They could be, but they're not. Tag them if you know them. But what I like about their planner system is that you can take your planner and rearrange it. My favorite day of school was always the first day when I opened that fresh notebook, fresh page, fresh supplies, freshly sharpened pencil. It always made me feel as empowered as I could feel day one. And so I always like to start every day that way. And I'm sorry, but when I got to June with traditional planners, it just felt like a lot of weight to flip through to get to where I could start. And so that's my thing, right? I like to write it down on paper. I like to be able to move it around. I like to be able to organize my thoughts as needed. I even found a way to go from like client lead to actual paying client to something else, right? And so you can rotate the planners that way. It's just great. But how do you do it? Do you at all? Do you just try to remember? Is it that milk, eggs, bread, sugar that's in your head until you buy it? Or do you write the list down? Thinking moves, writing commits, right? Once you write it down, there is accountability there. There is something more to be done. You will accidentally find it in some way, whether it's a Post-it note you put on your monitor, whether it's in your notes app, an alarm setting for later, just the piece, the 80-page spiral notebook you keep on your desk that you close every time. But when you flip through it, you get all of these notes returned to you, planting those seeds back into the brain. You got to just figure it out for you guys. How do you work best? I love a good screenshot. Doesn't mean I'll always go back, but once in a while I'll go, hey, I have some free time. I wonder what I was looking for. I wonder what I found. Sometimes I stumble on recipes I meant to try. Sometimes I find a written work that I'm always like, oh yeah, that was so inspirational. I wanted to quote them and do something with it. There's lots of ways you can do this, but I want to talk about your way. Time moves without permission, and you will write your story either way. Raise your hand if you have heard something comparable from me before. Because I'll be honest, as much as I love to tell people you can write your story, as much as I love to tell you be in control of your actions, as much as I tell you to get a good to-do list down and have a schedule, none of those things matter when the tire goes flat on your way to all of it. None of it matters if you wake up sick and you can't even sit upright. Doesn't matter how pretty that to-do list was or how great your intentions were. If the tank has no gas, you're not going to make it to the meeting. right? And the time will go by either way. I really believe preparation is huge. We've heard it. I have a million quotes that could float to my brain about preparation. I see them all the time on LinkedIn. But how do you, one, write your story daily? What is that accountability to yourself to take intentional movement and make that part of your long term, permanent action to be spoken of, right? Like when you're gone, these are the things that remain. What is that? And then do you budget time? When I was getting ready this morning, I was up at like 3. I was so excited for this show. I went to bed early last night. Um, and I just couldn't go back to bed. And it was okay. I started thinking about how maybe I'm a little ADHD. And when I get excited, especially around school, I was the first one up in the morning. Matter of fact, it was hard to get my mom to not have me sleep in my first day outfit. Like I was so ready for school. I wanted to sleep in the clothes the night before just to be that much more ready in the morning. And that really hasn't changed for me. I always get that kind of first day energy vibe. And so, thinking about the show this morning, it was kind of popping up. And then I thought about the airport, guys. If you're a little bit neurospicy, a little bit ADHD, ADHD, got a little bit of any of the tisms that exist in the world, all due respect, be honest with yourself. And this is me, right? I'm going to be honest. I would rather show up to the airport 3-4 hours early and just allow myself to play in those ADHD wonderment. They have tons of bells, whistles, things moving at all times. I can just absorb that energy and be fine. And really, it might be inspirational. I'm a big people watcher. The other side of me thought, well, what made that happen? Like, who created this 3 a.m. Melissa, right? Jeremy, the dedication is naturally there. It's not intentional necessarily. I know I used to like to wake up early with my husband when he was heading to work. And, I hate that display. Sorry, guys. And it was natural that my body started doing that. I also worked in the Midwest for my client, and I was on the West Coast. And so I was always up 2 hours early just to get a start on my day, make sure that all the work was done before they could email me and ask me for anything, because prevention and all that jazz, right? If it's done before they get there, they won't ask me where it is. And so I think there was some intention there. But the other part of it is when I'm thinking about showing up at the airport, I could be late. I could show up with that 2-hour window to security. I could show up with less than that and know that my airport's maybe smaller. I don't really need 2 hours. They recommend it, but I could probably get away with 45 minutes if I pack light and don't have to check a bag. I'm already anxious thinking about those extra hurdles. It almost feels like a track, a race, like a race ready to be ran, because I'm going to cut it at the finish all the time. But what happens is that tire that goes flat on the car in front of you that slows down your Uber, your cab, your car, the traffic jam on the freeway, the construction that had to happen because a sinkhole popped up out of nowhere, and now your 45 minutes is not sufficient. And there is anxiety, and there is a ripple that comes with not being prepared. Time will move without your permission when you're stuck in traffic. And so if you know that this can happen to you, if you know you are not in control of everything, even as a coach, even as a life business, all of it, I've done it all. I could do it all. I still can't control it all. So what do I do? Because that sounds I'm at everybody else's mercy. And I don't like that. I don't like to feel like I'm a victim of my circumstances, my surroundings, other people's decisions. However, if I decide to show up 3 hours early to the airport, and I know that my intention is to use the massage chair and have breakfast and have a coffee, have time for the coffee to actually hit my bladder, because I don't know about you, but coffee makes me need to go tinkle a lot. Sorry, I didn't have a better way to say that this time of day on a Saturday, but it just happens. And I know there's others who have different experiences having coffee, but either way, don't you want bathroom time before the flight? And so if you know yourself, you know your pattern, you know your body, and you know your time within yourself, then you can plan appropriately so nobody can interfere. If I have 3 hours and something goes wrong, I could skip the massage chair. I wouldn't want to necessarily, but I could. I could skip the coffee. That'll eliminate a lot. I could wait to hydrate till after I fly. They don't recommend it, but I could. I could start chugging as soon as we're descending. You have to decide how you move. And if you are intentionally giving yourself the freedom to choose, then you've already won. And that's really what I teach leaders. That's what I've learned in leadership. It's not about being rich, it's about having choice. When you have money, you have options, and options gives you relief. Options, if you miss the public flight, if you miss your Alaska Airlines flight, but you have the cash, you can go private and still show up. Right? And so there's some options there. And if you don't have options to financially fix your problem, prevent the problems from coming up with the thing you do have, which is managing yourself, managing your time. I mean, Erin travels quite a bit for work, and could you imagine if that goes wrong when you're in business? And I know a lot of people travel for pleasure, but equally so on LinkedIn, if not more, right? A lot of people travel often for work. It's part of their commitment daily almost. And so as leaders, you have to prepare for the unexpected, the unplanned. And then truthfully, if you're prepared, guys, you're going to be a better leader for your team. Because I understand life gets stressful, but if I'm your assistant and you call me and you're yelling at me because you've missed a flight because you thought you had 45 minutes, which was sufficient, and now you're mad at me or angry enough to use tone or I don't even want to put it out there. But if you hear that from your boss because they weren't prepared, how does it make you feel? And it comes down to, guys, as a parent, I have been here. I'm stressed out. I'm cooking dinner late. I didn't prepare ahead of time. I knew we had a lot of events. They come in, they have homework. We're both on a deadline. Maybe it's not the best night ever at home. I'm not saying it went crazy, but it's not oh yeah, honey, let's go sit down, Mr. Rogers style. You're like, why did you wait till the last minute? As I'm standing there waiting till the last minute. Well, it's probably genetics. It's probably habits learned. And it's something you can fix if it matters, right? If you know, hey, this is a non-negotiable for my household. We're always home by 5. So dinner and homework can be done by 6:30 and showers can be done by 7:30. And we have 30 minutes of family time before you go to bed. Whatever it is, you have to select your path. This is the choose your own adventure part of your story. And you get to determine it every day. And it's not really anybody else's fault, because in every choose your own adventure, there was always risk. There was always reward. There was always adventure and catastrophe. And there's always something that can go wrong. It's Murphy's Law. If it can go wrong, it will. It may not every day, but it will eventually. And so what are you going to do? Are you the Jason Bourne of your life? If you need to unlock a car, do you know where your keys are? Can you naturally reach for them? Or are you always patting your pockets? How prepared are you for the moment? You know, we've seen natural disaster movies. What if it happens? I live in the Pacific Northwest on the coast. We have volcanoes and we have earthquakes and we have tsunami risk. And a tsunami in Japan can give, or an earthquake in Japan can give me a risk. Alaska can send risk. Am I prepared? I've lived in Tornado Alley. Were we prepared or were we not? Right? These are questions you have to ask yourself. And it doesn't have to be a natural disaster. It could be a small financial disaster, a mental health issue. It could be a body catching the flu. It could be the snow coming in and knocking out power citywide. It has nothing to do with your plan. Nothing. But you still have to be prepared. And so how are you going to do that? If I told you that the world could end tomorrow and you might end up in one of those post-apocalypse, and I know this is really bright on a Saturday morning, but if it happened, are you ready? Do you have enough to sustain you until you can get to the next step? And that is true with your mental health. It is true with your family. Are you able to be the same person tomorrow? Because that's where that 1% rest of like, no, seriously, go take a nap comes in. But 99% of your day can prevent the need for a nap right? Because usually, and I'm going to keep it if, there's some people out there who like medical stuff, you need a nap, maybe age, I'm getting older. I really like to nap. I don't really need it, but I'm sure in another 10 years, I'm going to need that nap. So excluding that, right? Those people who just get exhausted to the point where they are told to stay home by their doctor. They went so far, they forgot for so long to take care of themselves that they literally bottomed out. That can happen with finances, relationships, business, life, yourself, your family, your children. Think of all the things that matter to you, and are you watering your life the way you need to? How are you guys doing? I want to come back to the audience here for a second because I feel like I'm just going. It's been about 30 minutes now, but options for plays on the field equals opportunity. I love that, right? When you can have a clear path of choices, you can make the best one. Kenny says he's usually there at 2.5 hours early, right? It's just less stress if you show up early and give yourself that time. It's a perfect time to read a book. Nobody really even bothers you. Sean, that is something that I definitely have heard too. And then Bill says, I generally fly private when I'm working, so they wait. That's nice, you know. And you fly private. Oh, sheesh. Okay. So anyway, clarity cuts through confusion, right? It does. Confusion will cloud everything. If you're not sure, you're driving, you have fog, you could know your road. You could drive this every day of your life. But as soon as the fog comes, now you're questioning, is there another car? If you're in the Midwest, is there a deer or a cow maybe that just started moving to the middle of the road? Alaska has elk. But there are things that can come you just don't see when you're unable to have that clarity, right? And it happens in life. We get so busy, we start moving around. Last week we talked about it a little bit, like the Rock'em Sock'em Robot style, and then Hungry Hippo game is in my head. But there was also that Beyblades game. My kids had it. I'm a little too old for that, but I bought it. And it was almost like a marbles jacks kind of thing, right? Ball and jacks, where the jacks would just spin, and it's almost like a fidget spinner, but kind of this blend of two worlds where you shoot it out and they fight each other and they bounce all over the place, and they're spinning and they're bouncing and they're tapping on each other, and you just don't know how it's going to end. There is no real plan there, except you hope you get a little bit more momentum on the play than they do. But truth is, momentum isn't always good if you don't know where you're going. I would never want to be on a train where I didn't have a destination or know how the tracks lined up to the end, right? I've seen too many movies about a train and a mountain that I'm already not interested unless I absolutely know that this is going to be a safe journey. I'm a weirdo who doesn't even like bridges really, because I know eventually things wear out over time. I've seen concrete, which is pretty solid, get cut through by water, and it rains a lot in the Pacific Northwest. So does that train go over a bridge? And what's that bridge made out of? I want to be clear, because my risk is higher if it's an old rickety bridge and we're not really maintaining it. I'd rather fly, right? If I know that it's a clear path ahead, I can go the speed limit and not question it. If I don't know what's ahead of me, I slow down a little bit. I take time. When the rain gets too thick to see the car lights in front of you, you slow down a bit. It also happens in business. I have seen so many business owners get stuck because they don't know what to do next. And it's fair. We're all humans. We're all doing our best. But the thing I would say is like COVID, right? It was something that created an unknown, a fog over what we thought we understood about business and operations and sustainability. Businesses had to shift quickly to either have outbound service, like restaurants who did dine-in only had to start doing options for DoorDash or delivery or takeout, because they weren't allowed to have people come sit. Or if they did have them come sit, they had to be so far apart that really, how many could you seat at a time in your restaurant, depending on how it was built, right? So how do we get through this? What do we do when the business is unknown and we don't know what's happening and we can't forecast because they don't know what's happening and the whole world is in on this? I'm not sure. Now, whether you believed in the situation or not, I'm not arguing your semantics, your politics, or your science. That's for you to get clear on. I'm not helping. That's not my job on that side. But I will say this, no matter what you believed, you were part of the impacted party, the group. We were all impacted, whether we liked it or not, whether we believed or not, whether we masked or not. We got real confused real fast for a minute. And in those moments, I couldn't tell you what was going to happen. I could not forecast that for you. So to even pretend to promise that was silly. But what I could do is say, hey, I understand business. May I see what you're doing? And I can show you a roadmap to go beyond this foggy road. And so I did it with background screens. You don't do background checks if people don't hire. During COVID, nobody was hiring. So I moved into the two industries that were still hiring. It was a simple shift when I slowed down to get clear on what was still working. Not focused on the negative, focused on the positive, what's still moving. That is true even now. We are in a time where people are unsure about the future, myself included. I have some guesses. I've been really good at guessing. I've shared, like Aaron and I have kind of speculated on thoughts that we thought were coming because we're planning together and coaching with him. He was first to come to mind, but we had a conversation just this week where he's like, yeah, you called this. I was like, yeah, I did. I saw this coming a while ago. Now, it didn't mean I was certain, but I had a pretty good guess. And that's where I am clear. I'm clear about what I'm clear about. And when I'm confused, I slow down to get clarity. Sometimes I call others. Sometimes I speak it out loud to you guys and I get clear in the moment. And then I go, wait a minute, hold on. Actually, this is what I really thought I meant at first. Sometimes it comes through writing. And sometimes it comes from listening to others. Sometimes the confusion gets worse when you don't shh for a minute. We call that slow down to speed up around here. Doesn't always mean self-care. Just means hold on, take a pause, look at what's happening on the field before we decide to do the play, right? And it can be a game-changing moment for everybody. We've seen it in sports where they didn't pause long enough before the throw on the football field to see that somebody was coming in to intercept that. They didn't see that there were three men right on the left that were about to come in and tackle that person and make it impossible. Or maybe they didn't see something else, right? There's always something. But if you move too quickly, you can throw the ball away accidentally. You can really hurt your brand. You can pay for things you don't need. There's a lot of confusion that comes in business often because it comes from all sides. And one of the biggest things I see is people buying into a solution, not understanding if it will help. They think if they hire somebody, it's going to fix it, but they don't know who to hire. And they hire the wrong person who's looking at them for direction. And the person they hired was like, wait, hold on. You need me to tell you what to do, but I hired you to tell me what to do. And what are we doing here? The clarity wasn't there before the purchase. Right? How many times have you returned an item because you thought you knew about it and then you didn't? And then it wasn't what you thought and you thought it had a different feature, but you didn't know. And so you had to take it back and upgrade. There's so much extra work that comes from not being clear early. Relationships. Are you guys going the same place? Imagine being engaged for 5 years and then finding out your fiance doesn't want children at the point where you're ready to create a family. And you guys never spoke about it before you said I do and wanted to. Maybe you're married 5 years in and now it's time. And that's when you find out. That could really hurt a lot, right? It would cloud the entire relationship. It would make a lot of chaos rise. And really, while I love chaos on a Sunday morning with my friend Felipe, we don't want that to rule our lives. In work, we can create value with activity and action, or we can create noise. And I would say value comes from action, work, and activity is noise, right? I think about bees. There are bees that buzz around flowers and never really land. They just kind of, they're there. They're irritating. Like I've watched bees. My name actually means honeybee, so I'm a big fan of them. Love their work. I love honey. And so I would watch them and some of them just are buzzing around, making noise, not really doing much. Others are in the flower pollinating. They're running back to the hive. They keep coming back. You see this rotation of work. Now I'm certain at all times they are in a cycle of something, right? They live and breathe their work. But are you buzzing around or are you pollinating? Are you building or are you destroying? An action would be to set up dominoes, single file in a row, right? Think about that really cool video you might have seen where somebody has done hours of prep work to make dominoes go up and down and over and around and all these cool things happen. They're planning, they're building, they're creating this moment. And then there's somebody who comes up while you're almost done. You're not quite there, but they push down your dominoes. You're building a house of cards. Somebody comes up and just pulls one from the bottom. Both are activities, both are actions. Which one do you want to align with? Are you creating the noise of the dominoes? Did you take somebody else's moment because you just wanted to opt in and get loud? You wanted to partake, so you just came in Kool-Aid Man style and took over? Do you force the noise in people's lives? Or are you creating value? There is a difference here. And I got to be honest, there are so many people on LinkedIn creating noise. Noise. Buzzing in the DMs, buzzing around each other. Buzz, 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 buzz. But they're not creating value by buzzing. They're doing it for something other than productive outcomes. You have to be careful. This can happen at work. You have the coworker who has the rag in hand and they're always there chit-chatting with you, but you notice they never wipe the window with you. You're the only one wiping. They're there. They look the part. They're doing a great job. They're in their uniform. They clocked in. They showed up. They smile. But their hands never actually get to moving. They're just there to talk. Do you have a coworker that comes to mind? Do you remember that person in your life who just creates noise and not necessarily value? And are you one of them? How many things on your to-do list are just noise? And I'm calling you out because I call myself out. Remember, this is based on me reflecting on my life and what I've done. The reason I know I need to show up early to the airport is because I've come in late enough that I got punished, and I don't like to be punished. I don't like the feeling of being in timeout. I don't like to be told, hey, you don't get to go. And so I make sure I don't create that environment for myself, right? And so making sure that when you're buzzing about, that you're pollinating, that if you show up to this domino event, that you're not just knocking down somebody else's build so you can see some fun or get some action. Because long term, the stories will be told both ways. You're either going to be the person who was the bully who came in, and I'm thinking of my favorite bully of all time that pops into mind, and I hate to say favorite, but she did it well, and it's animated, so I feel like it's a little safer, is actually Angelica from Rugrats. She was the meanest little 4-year-old girl, and she picked on all the little toddlers. Are you that person? Are you the one who comes in and just wants to make babies cry? And why? And this is a metaphor, guys, but who's the baby in your life you're maybe not being so kind to? And it could be yourself. I'm not even pointing fingers here. It could be anybody. Are you mean to yourself? Are you creating noise in your brain about all the things you shoulda, coulda, wouldas instead of just doing? Because I promise you time's going to pass no matter what you're telling yourself. The clock is on. And you could sit on the field and you could yell at yourself about the play you missed. You could take all day. But the fans are watching and our dreams are on the line because we believe in you. And if you don't believe in you, if you're just out there making noise and you're not actually creating value, we've already lost. We've already lost. You got 30 seconds on the play. Are you going to complain to the ref the whole time? Or are you going to get your butt out there and try again and do it in a way that they can't question your work? Work can create value. Work can create noise. What kind of work are you doing? Pollinators build ecosystems, right? Noise does not. I think about a hammer, just the sound alone. One could be building and one could be taking away. Depends on what you're hitting, how you're hitting it, and for what intention. You can hit on a car with a mallet to either remove a dent or to add one. Both both make you move. One's an activity, one's an action. One is fixing, in my opinion, right? That's the action. The other is an activity that takes away. Again, loose definitions here, but what kind of activity are you into? And is it an action to build, or is it not? Action is intentional. Dreaming, having hope without intention, without structure, without movement, it doesn't work. You have to be able to move into what moves you. And so energy can guide you, but energy can scatter. And I want to talk about like emotional women style, right, guys? There are good, valid reasons for every emotion you feel. There is a truth, even anger. There is something there to let you know there's a feeling you have to address. There is an energy present, and we need to assess it because it is showing up in my body. It is showing signs that it is being loud. It is being noisy. It's making a buzz, right? It's buzzing. There's this vibe coming out of me. Is it good or bad? And when it's good, how do you present that? And when it's bad, how do you present it? You have choices. And sometimes they're a duality, right? Like that Venn diagram of both. Sometimes I feel really bad about the employer, that I was working for back in 2015. It brought a lot of bad energy, bad negative feelings. I didn't get a lot of time off to deal with myself. Even when I was having a really tough time, had a house fire, like it was just hard to get through it. And the energy wasn't as supportive as it could have been. And that threw my energy off. But then at the same time, that energy of knowing his energy was off energized my intention and my need to go find better. Right? You hear a dog growl and it will guide you away from his fence. I think about energy of I want to use a hunting analogy, but I want to be careful because the world we live in. If I go too far, might get kicked off the internet. But you can either be precise in the way you deliver something, or you can scatter it, right? If your energy is guiding people together, that's wonderful. If your energy is guiding people to scatter, assess why. You might be the stinky kid in gym class. You might need some deodorant. You might be hangry and need a Snickers. Even Betty White, she wasn't herself when she was hungry. Do you understand why you feel agitated around certain circles of people? Do you understand why certain rooms make you feel like it's just not for you and you should be out of that room? Because I'll be honest, my gut doesn't lie. I have never had it serve me wrong. I don't know how else to put it. It just is always serving me well. It is always showing up for me to tell me what I should move into and what I should run from. And most of the time, guys, when you're in your when you're trying to figure this out, I don't think you should act at all. I think you should, in that moment, be as lazy river as you can be, but anchored. Be in the river, but stand up. Just stop moving for a second. Like, don't get out. Don't touch others. Don't change the flow of the water any more than just putting your feet down and letting it flow around you for a second as you understand where you're at. Why did the feeling shift? What's going on? What do I need to do next? Because action without clarity, you could start running from a lion, but if you run off of the side of the cliff because you're not paying attention to what's changing in front of you, you're not any safer, right? And so you have to be careful about where you're being guided, how quickly you're being guided, and why you feel the need to act so quickly. I'm not going to take long to contemplate why I should run from a lion. I'm just not. I promise you it's going to be a very quick reflection time before I move. But as I move, I'm still going to be taking in new data. I'm not going to get so anchored into the fear of what's behind me that I am not paying attention to what's in front of me. I'm not going to get so busy buzzing around my own life that I try to hurt others in their life to gain momentum. And I've watched it happen. It stinks because humans will do it. I've seen it. Mean Girls, right? Lindsay Lohan, that's an example a lot of you have seen. She was creating negative energy to try to create positive outcomes for herself, and that does not work. It's only in math that a negative and a negative equal a positive. I promise you. It's just something you have to be accountable for. How are you acting? Why are you acting this way? What is it doing? Are you taking accountability for yourself? Are you letting others tell you when to take responsibility and accountability? Because that can be a problem too. I think accountability is good, but if I was the coach that only was your conscience, if I was the Jiminy Cricket of your life and you didn't think for yourself, there is a disservice there. I would never want to be the sole person who decides where you go or what you do, because that is not the way your life is supposed to be. It wasn't meant for somebody else to guide you. You're supposed to guide yourself and let others have a ripple within that. You're allowed to let them in, but only to the extent in which your energy is protected and you're not hurting others. I always like to say, move like a bubble. You see a lot of bubbles in my imagery, and I do that because I want to be a bubble, guys. I don't want to push in on you. Bubbles don't hurt you. As a matter of fact, bubbles come up against you, they pop themselves before they do anything to you. Now, if I get a little bubble in your eye, okay, maybe you'll cry a bit, but it's not something you can't overcome. That is really the only thing that a bubble can do to you, right? Is maybe get a little a tear in your eyeball. But the truth is, the tension of even approaching a bench, and this is one of my favorite analogies, is when a bubble comes up on a bench, you can see it either pop itself against the bench, or the surface tension. When it feels that resistance, it just stays above the bench and moves on. It doesn't penetrate that surface tension. And if that's really life, if we're all energy, if we're all based on science, and again, not a degreed person in science, this is not necessarily something I've learned, but you could go fact check me, right? Maybe something in school is still there, but there is a scientific behavior, energy, resistance to everything. There's magnetism, and we're all made of rocks and all of these things, right? And rare earth minerals, and there's energy there. And I can't explain it. I don't understand why some send out frequencies and some have hertz that come out of it. I don't know why flowers sing songs. I don't know why my plants are 2 miles away from me and know that I'm almost home. But these are things I've learned. And if it's true, if we know that there's energy out there, we got to be mindful of it. If we feel it's off, assess why. Animals do it animals know something's coming before we do. And I'm not sure why they have that built in. But what if we could get back to being that tapped into nature, that we understand that we just heard the birds get quiet, or there's a rumble under our feet. We stop running long enough to realize, wow, that's a little earthquake I'm feeling. You just have to be mindful of where you are. And then movement happens everywhere, right? It happens in spite of ourselves. If you stand in New York City, just stand still. Nothing will be the same. Minute by minute, second by second, everything's going to evolve, except maybe the buildings behind you. But even then, the way the light hits them is going to change the way they look. It's going to change perspective. Movement happens everywhere. You can be still, you can get going. Progress follows directions. And the directions come from you. You're either going to be the person you said you were or you're not. You're either going to get the to-do list done or you're not. You're either going to act in those behaviors you align with or you're not. You're going to make yourself proud or you're not. You're going to do better than yesterday or you're not. And I'm not judging. It's assessment. Judgment means I have a belief system behind the assessment. I don't. If the cup is half full, it's half full. I don't know if that's negative or positive. You decide that. But there is only 50% volume in that vessel. You get to determine if that's good or bad. That's a perspective you have to hold. You can make progress on the perspective. But the facts are the facts, and it's going to move with or without your permission, because life does. Time goes on without our permission. What are you going to do in spite of that fact? How are you going to prevent wasting anything that you can't grab more of? It's just smart business to protect the thing you can't replace. That's why technology is treated so kindly in the business, right? They don't want you beating up the printer because, well, we know you hate it. We do need it to work next week, Bobby. Stop kicking it. What are you kicking? What dreams? What relationship? What friends? What family members? I'm watching politics become ugly and stay ugly. I look at my On This Day, and for at least a decade, I've had opinions on politics not really being the dream I want, none of it doing exactly what I would like to see. And I'll be honest, it's just lack of accountability, and it's all sides. Pull out your crayon, we'll Venn diagram. I want to get to a purple world. I don't care what color your crayon is, purple's the goal. But what I want to tell you is the accountability is lacking. I'm not seeing the progress. I'm seeing movement. I'm seeing activity. I don't necessarily agree that it's actions we should be taking, right? And so do the same with your life. We all know everybody's got an opinion about politics, but do you feel as strongly about your own decisions in your life? The people in your life making decisions like that for you on your behalf. Because the truth is, yes, we're in a place where leadership is always making decisions on our behalf, but we get to decide who's in charge. You don't like your boss? Get a new boss. You don't like the way the business runs? Go work for a different business. Doesn't mean it's going to happen tomorrow? Maybe not. It definitely won't happen if you don't go try. But if you start taking progress, little steps, baby bites, you can finish big meals in Thanksgiving, right? Those small bites get a lot of work done over time. Are you awake? Are you there? I want to get back into this, but I want to make sure I'm not losing you guys. Also, if you have any comments, you want to join the stage, feel free to message me and I can share that link. I would like to stay on topic today, and I don't want to get into, too much political beliefs or any of that. But if you have something you personally want to share about you, if you have an experience where that action versus activity, maybe you took accountability for the activity around you and removed yourself from the stuff you didn't like. I remember being a teenager, guys. I think I got to give my mom a ton of credit on this message real quick. It just came to me, to be honest. When I think about my mom, she was the best excuse I ever had to leave a party ever. She told me I could blame her for anything to come home. I could say, nope, my mom's going to kill me. I got to leave. And I would call and be like, Mom, come pick me up. And she would. I would tell them, hey, Mom, I told them you would kill me if I asked if they could spend the night, but they asked me to tell you anyway. And she's like, yeah, they almost risked their friend's life because she knew I didn't want it that night or whatever it was. She let me do that. She gave me a way to say no when I didn't feel empowered to say no. Do your bosses do that? Because honestly, I would love for my team to be able to say, no, we can't do that. It's a policy. No, thank you. But if they don't feel confident doing that, they can say, well, let me get my manager. She requires me to call her for this kind of exchange or return or whatever it is, right? Like just for this moment, for this kind of concern or issue. And that empowers the employee to, one, not do it alone, to be able to advocate for themselves when they're not feeling so good, to make sure they don't make a mistake that could put them into trouble with you. I say these things because, one, who do you call now? Do you have a phone a friend? Do you have an accountability partner, somebody who you can call in those moments and go, hey, I'm not feeling so good about this choice. I'm not sure I'm handling the situation right. I'm not sure about X. Can we talk about it? You do have to be mindful because while you can talk to a ton of people about life, not everything's going to be beneficial. Not everything's going to lead to an outcome you want. It'll go back to energy. It'll go back to intention. If I go and talk to somebody who has never been successful in business about my business failing, they're going to encourage me in my belief system. They're going to be like, you're right. Yeah, that sounds really hard. Yeah, you're right. I would give up. I couldn't do that. And I'll be honest, I used to look at my employers and tell them, oh, I don't want to be you. I would look at bosses running companies and just go, I do not want to be that. I could never be stressed out and run a business like you. I could never do that. And the truth is, what it did was move me away from promotions because I was advocating myself away from leadership. All of the things you deal with as a leader, I don't want to do. That doesn't look fun. What was the turning point for me was the fact that I just didn't want to lead like him. And when I saw a leader who did it differently than that leader, I wanted it. I wanted it bad. I wanted to be the kind of boss who could empower their team, who would tell them, yes, I know your goal's really lofty. Do it anyway. The boss I had been working for at that time would tell me to set a goal. And so I'd set a goal, and then he'd tell me my goal was too lofty. It was too big. It was too bold. I was like, then you set the goal. Why are you making me do it? Because one, I really had to think about a goal. As somebody who wanted to impress, I put a lot of time and effort into trying to strategize and math and figure out what can I do and can I really pull this off? And so when I came in with a number that was incredibly hard for him to believe, and that's what he shared with me, he planted a seed of doubt. And then I got mad because I was like, you know what, dude, I've actually been a top seller everywhere I've worked. So you can have your goals, but I'm going to have mine. You told me to have some, I have some. You set your own. And you know what? Melissa was right. Melissa hit her goal in spite of. And why? Because one, everything moves. Life was going to move anyway. His conversation could have led me off the cliff. It could have led me to not being as successful as I wanted to be. And to be honest, in a startup, you don't really have a choice but to grind. The fact that he didn't want my goal to be so high made me worried about him because I'm like, what? But then on the other side, he came from banking and he was very conservative in that mindset. And I understand why. Risk versus reward. There are ripples out there of businesses that were not successful. And I get it. But what kind of seeds are you planting? That conversation he had with me started to feel like the cards being pulled from the house of cards that I was building. Like it was a startup is a very tricky thing. It's very fragile. It does take finesse and time and slow breaths and not a lot of people in your build out because you're building something that's unique to you. You understand the tension points. You understand what cards you want to place. You understand why you picked the cards and why you want it there. And when other people try to come in and move that, it can get messy. And what he did was take somebody who was building his program for him and just start pulling my cards out of my deck. Why would you do that? If you want a business to grow and you hire somebody to do the growth, if you bring in accountability, whatever it is, right? When you get into movement, why would you start taking away from that with doubts? Unless you also bring a solution. I don't think that's possible unless we hire help. Cool. That's fine. Is the ROI there? Let's get back to that. ROI. What is the return on investment? If time is your investment first and everything is a time investment, every single freaking thing in your life is a time investment. From your favorite show. How many times have you watched Grey's Anatomy? What is your favorite show? How many times have you watched it on repeat? You've invested in that, and there might be a great reason. It could be the best show to have ever existed. It could be the art, the music, the production. I don't care. I'm not mad at you for doing it, but are you really wanting to continue to invest that same time that's fragile, that's gone, that could make you a millionaire, that could make your children more comfortable, that could make your life easier into something you've already done? And why? If it's self-care, I'm not going to argue. If you say it helps you to get creative every time you watch it, I'm not going to argue. But if you don't have a reason or an ROI, then I'm going to poke a little bit because not everything leads somewhere. It might be somewhere you've been before. It might lead you to comfort because you've been here and it's just easy, and that's cool. But not all decisions will take you somewhere good. You have to determine what that means for you. And I don't want it to sound like, hey, she's judging, because I'm really not. I got to be honest. This is not judgment. This is assessment. This is something that coaches do with their clients to figure out why they're doing the things they're doing, what they're doing, why it matters. And why? Because one, thoughts rise freely. We have them all the time. People are always live on LinkedIn. There's a whole bunch of people out here giving away advice, and I think it's great. They all have thoughts and they come up and we share them, and it's all over the world, all over the internet, not just this app, all of them. But what action do we take once we've read the thoughts? What is the point in going to these events if you don't actually put them to work? Did you write them down? Do you take notes during these events? What do you write down during the events? How do you write down? Do you spend the whole time just texting other people talking stuff? Are you just buzzing in the DMs? Oh, what did Melissa just say? Did you hear her say that? Oh my gosh, how dare her? The burn book exists on LinkedIn. They may not call it that, but it's there. What is that bringing? Let me be honest. I know people dislike Melissa, and I'm glad, because you know what? You've learned enough about me to form an opinion. That's good. What that does is create clarity. And what does clarity do? It cuts through confusion. Don't be confused about me. Get very clear about how you feel and then move in that. I had this week a lot of stuff going on. For those who don't know, this week was the 19th anniversary of my fiance passing away. He was 26 years old when he passed. He did it in his sleep 3 days before our wedding. So if you're doing the math, that means tomorrow would have been the day. Now, that's a heavy contemplation. I'm going to be honest. It's always been a week for me to just reflect on the beautiful life, the actions we took, the things we did, the ripple he had in my life. It's also a little bit harder this year because this is the very first time where my husband is not here with me. For those who don't know, my fiance had been gone about 6 months when I met my husband on MySpace. We met. We had gone to the same schools, had the same friends group growing up. And it was in my grief that I was looking for friendships online, and MySpace was there. And, you know, it's not different than how we act here now. But we connected. We started chit-chatting. It was really natural. And I fell in love pretty quick. It was after our first date. We just decided to move in, and we were together for a ton of years. But he was always there on the anniversary. And so this is the first year I didn't spend that anniversary with him, with the support. And it was always kind. It was always space. But this is the first year I did it by myself. It was different. This week has been heavy. I had somebody reach out to me about being a guest on their show. And I got to be honest, this person and I have had a unique engagement experience throughout time. But the truth is, the last time I was around this person in a live situation, I wasn't very excited about the outcomes. I was not confused about how I felt leaving that environment. And I didn't really know how to address the situation because I had been invited on their show. And I thought, well, okay, let me think about it. I'm not now. I'm dealing with this anniversary of death, and I got to work, and I have all these other personal things I'm going through beyond, right, with the divorce talks. And, you know, my husband hasn't been here since August. So there's a lot of shifts in my life. Plus I'm a mom. So I'm dealing with all of this, thinking through it all. And then I get a secondary message because I didn't respond quick enough, or I don't know, because I haven't addressed it yet. It's just, oh, just kidding. I'm fully booked now and in the future. Okay. I don't understand the activity there. I don't understand the buzz. I don't understand the wasted energy, effort, time. I don't understand the yo-yo effect of that kind of behavior system. And guys, the confusion keeps me out. I already didn't enjoy it the last time. I'm not going to come back while I'm confused about why this time. And again, I look at the people and their behavior around me while I'm going through things. I don't expect you guys to coach me. I don't expect to coach you when I'm having a bad time, but I do expect there to be respect across the lines. This is a business environment. Could you imagine inviting somebody you wanted to be your client to a meeting and then going, never mind, I got clients, I'm out. No, this season, next season, this quarter, next year, we just closing the door. And so for me, I don't know if it's their confusion, but I'm not opting into it, right? And I'm certain there are people who act this way on the playground, in high school, in the office setting, at home, at anywhere you go, the grocery store, right? People get rude and ugly. Why? If you're confused about their behavior, back up. If I don't know if that's going to, have a ticking countdown and do something good or bad, I'm going to back up. I don't know if that's going to throw out confetti or something worse. I'm not going to hold it. The clarity I have keeps me from confusion. Do you guys have it? What does it look like? Do you know who to keep at an arm's distance? I will tell you right now, it was always my Aunt Carol. It was my grandmother's sister. She was that person at every event who would tell you, you'd be so beautiful if. Always just had that little asterisk in the back going, if you could, that for me is the kind of person I don't want around. Now, if they said, this is a wonderful Sunday, do you have nuts? I enjoy nuts on my Sunday. Cool. But if somebody comes up and goes, you would have a better Sunday if you would just add nuts to everyone. Well, listen, I have a peanut allergy, so not going to work for me. And not really, guys. I'm just saying, what if everybody gave advice, gave opinions without actually understanding? And it happens. Their confusion about your clarity while they're giving advice is a problem. Their confusion about why they want to move with you. If I want to move with somebody, that offer stands. I'm not going to close the door once I've invited you in. Now, if you miss the party, okay. If I tell you the party's February 1st and you don't come till the 3rd, sorry about the confusion, really wanted you there, but I'm not rescinding the offer to make you look silly when you show up. Those are the kind of people I don't want to buzz with. Those are the kind of people who come in and knock down your dominoes, pull the cards. And why? No idea. Can't figure it out. There's no purpose there. You get clear, you make moves. And it doesn't mean you have to do everything yourself. It doesn't mean you have to control them. I don't even want to change the behavior. Please keep it going. Over there, I'm going to scatter my energy to the winds. I'm out. I'm like glitter. People's energy can guide you away or in. You will never have to ask me twice to go with Mickey Mouse anywhere. I don't care where that dude's going. I'm in. 100% always in. Now, Eeyore, I don't know. Is Tigger coming? I got to have a balance. Are we going to help? We going to hurt? Are you moving to build? Are you moving to take away? Because I will swing a hammer at Habitat for Humanity, but I don't want to take it to somebody's house to destroy. I won't do it to their window or their car, their knees, or their dreams. I wouldn't do it to their brand. I would not hurt somebody else to build myself. I would not take from your tree to build my home, not without permission, right? And so ask yourself, who's around? How are they taking? How are they giving? The other thing I've really noticed, and this is something I learned last year when I was going through my separation, and it was due to domestic violence, guys, right? If you don't know, that's why my marriage has ceased. And it was a lot for me to take in. I had survived domestic violence before. And it was only one time then. He went to prison for that. I did my work to overcome. And here I was, full cycle, coming back to a moment where my husband left our home. There's a restraining order and an open case. Going through a lot. And when I was looking around at that time, there were people who were supporting me and my request and my needs. I hate to put it into perspective, but this perspective, but it very much felt like I was in like the hospital ward in my brain. I was just kind of, I wasn't at all. I was fine, physically fine, but mentally I was not. Mentally I needed care. I needed time. I needed a warm blanket brought in and somebody to bring me some ice cubes. I needed to just sit and be still and try to figure out what was going on within my body and my mind and really try to find a solution. And I'll be honest, it doesn't always work, right? So all I could do was set boundaries. As somebody who knows myself, when I am frazzled, I'm not always kind. I am hangry, right? I am somebody who needs a Snickers once in a while to calm the energy because I feel the vibration. I've lived a lot and sometimes it wants to come back up. And in those moments, I set good boundaries for myself. I didn't engage with anybody who made me second guess my decisions. I didn't engage with anybody who was not supportive of me being safe. I did not engage with people who were not supportive of me taking personal time. If somebody demanded more than I could offer in the moment, they were shown the door. If they didn't like it, that was a them problem. And why? Because their energy trying to suck my energy, like their need to pull energy from me when I didn't have it to give, is like taking blood from a patient who needs it in the hospital. So I set boundaries. And what did that do? It pisses off the bees. 100%. Those buzzers, they get frazzled. Have you ever seen a hornet's nest when you've hit it one time? You just say, no, thank you, stop. Little smack on the hand to the no, don't do that. It'll burn you. When you deal with people who don't respect boundaries, it becomes very much like a festering wasp hive. And that's kind of the energy you can bring, guys. And it's not just you, and it's not just my life. Humans do this to each other often, and you got to figure it out because you can become the villain. I have said it time and time again. You either die a hero or you live long enough to become a villain. And what happens is people get into their own heads. They get too big in their brains. They forget that people are just blood, water, tissue, air, right? We need nourishment. We need connection. We need to support each other, and we can't all do it alone. But if that energy is you either do it my way or you're gone, you either give to me or you're out, you either this or okay, I will match it. My boundaries are you respect it or you're also gone. It's non-negotiable because of my actions that I've had taken against me in life, right? The people who have acted against me have injured my person by moving into places they weren't supposed to. Physically, mentally, sexually, I've had many experiences in my life. I'm not going to negotiate now, especially over something like a LinkedIn, a YouTube, a Facebook, an idea, a quote from a live event that maybe they didn't align with, and now they're going to take and get upset. Okay, get upset. Did I say you by name? Did I call you out? If you feel called out, why do you look like a buzzer? Why are you buzzing and not pollinating? Why aren't you growing something? Get busy. Now, we have to hold ourselves to that same accountability. You can't ask others to do it if you don't. And so reflect on your own choices. There are ways I set boundaries that are not very kind. Felipe comes in right on cue. If you've ever caught our show, I literally will yell at him sometimes. And it maybe isn't the way I would do it with everybody, right? But the truth is, if it really matters, we don't get to that point. We really try to avoid it. We will use our words to bring it back so the energy doesn't get to a space that it becomes negative. And so you got to figure out, how are you playing? Why are you playing? Is it fun? Is it banter? Is it me? Because sometimes it can cross a line. You don't even mean to. It starts as just like a couple of friends picking on one person jokingly, and then it becomes like every time she shows up, we pick on her now because that's the new habit. That's not going to work. You're going to scatter your friendships forever. And if you watch the people who act this way, they can say it's a me problem, and that it could be. But if you habitually are pushing your friends away, or you often have to change your circles because there's a ripple you create that makes people put boundaries down, it very much becomes like the the night predator in the neighborhood, right? Who can I prey on next? Who doesn't have their cameras up? Who doesn't have good boundaries set? Also, the comment section, you guys, I see you. I'm trying so hard to stay on top. Let me see here. Where are we? We have talked about movement happening everywhere, and that's definitely happening in my comments. I thank you guys so much. Is it leading somewhere? I don't know. Are you guys being kind? Are you being mean girls? I'm seeing commentary that makes me wonder. It's not in the dreaming. It's in the doing. I've used this quote before with Mark Cuban. And I'll be honest, I think a lot of people out here want to be good. I really don't think a lot of people intend to be bad. There are the exceptions. And I have a few names at the top of my list. I'm not going to say it, but I'm sure you have some names you could say, and I don't want you to say them either. But if you're going to be somebody who says you want to be a helper, if you want to help people grow, if you want to be the resource, the Mr. Rogers of LinkedIn is who I'm trying to be when I grow up. A little bit of Betty White, Google, Lisa Frank in a blender. If I want to be those things, I have to act that way. And it's hard because there's sometimes where it's hard to feel like Mr. Rogers because it doesn't feel like he gets mad, right? So what does he do when the dreams feel more nightmarish, when like people say they want to be good, but they don't actually do the good work? Mr. Rogers had a firm voice. He had a way to put it down, but he did it in a way that still didn't negotiate who he was. And I think that's important. Like, how do you maintain the integrity of being the cultivator of dreams and motivator of human capital while knowing that there are people who are just doing to do? And I don't know what they're doing. I haven't asked. I have guesses. I don't want to assume. But like, what do you do? For me, the only thing I can do is just let them be. It's unfortunate because there are so many great humans out there who are moving to help, but in doing so, they move so quickly, they like break the entire display setup you've built. That it's like coming in the bull in the china shop. You cannot come in so aggressively and hope to heal the business or the leader of the business inside if you're breaking them as you go. Because it isn't a breakdown to build up situation. It is not ever having to be that. Not you. We might break down walls. We might break down ideas. We might break down concepts into steps, but we're not going to break the human down to feel empowered. We're not. We're going to break down the misconceptions. We're going to break down the miscommunication. We're going to break down those feelings that make you feel however it is you're feeling, but only if you're willing. Because it's not in the dreaming to be a good guy. You got to be the good guy. It's not in the dreaming to be productive and be Mr. Rogers without building out what he did. He did it all free long before he was paid. And to be honest with you, I don't even know if Mr. Rogers was ever paid what he was worth, in my opinion, because it was public broadcasting. I don't even think we know what his true value will be yet. But what is ours? While I wait to figure out his, can I figure out mine too? Have you figured out yours? Because I'll be honest, if I was good at anything, I can eat. I don't know how else to put it. If you want to talk about being a mean girl, I could have probably ran the whole high school. Matter of fact, I was an anti-bully, and I kind of did run some of the playground, but it was to fight those bad guys. I don't want to fight anymore. If I want to fight, I want to fight for you, with you. I want to fight for that dream to come to fruition. I want to fight against the negative so we can build more positive. But I don't want to keep being an anti-bully thing. So I just remove the people that make me feel the need. Because they're either going to make me a villain with them, or they're going to get out of my way. They're either going to jump in and be kind, or they're going to get the hell out of my house. This is my house. What I'm building is mine. Get out of my glass studio if you swing bats. Why? You're going to write your story either way. And if you died tomorrow, what taste are you leaving on people's tongues? And I'm calling myself out on this too, because I know there are people who think the worst about Melissa for whatever reason they came up with. And that's cool. I can't fix that for them unless we talk about it. And I'm not talking about it if it's just to play Mean Girls. I'm not doing it if it's just to waste time. What I do here produces results. When I coach with somebody, we get stuff done. When I say accountability, I'm in your DMs, I'm calling you, I'm texting you, I'm leaving voice notes, I'm sending you stuff on the other platforms. I won't let you go because you said, come find me. You say, don't find me, I will easily give you your space because I respect it. Because when you look back at me, I want to be somebody you remember pruning and watering your plants, not pulling them out. You can plant seeds or you can rip the garden up. Even if you're a rabbit, you may think that carrot's for you, but that's somebody else's freaking carrot. Stop pulling from it. You should not have to borrow from somebody else's garden to build your own, especially without permission. Now, what's really cool if you're a plant person, you know that it's not hard for me to trim a little bit off of what I got to give it to you so you can start growing your own. I can do it with permission. I can help you learn how to propagate. I can teach you to do this and even how to ask others to help you along the way. But not if you're going to be counterintuitive to all the things that we're doing here. And it's hard because I have had people opt in. Like I said, I've worked with students to mayors and found success in all the ways. And then there's others who just don't want to do the work, didn't take the advice, said, oh, I got this. And then they still look around and they're mad because, oh, well, it didn't work for me. Well, of course it didn't. Did you do the work? The gym membership I got that I never arrived at the gym, like I had the key fob, never swiped it. It didn't work. It being on my keychain was not enough. Do you hear that? I love this. I'm reading. So sorry. Fred Rogers' net worth, $3 million. Fred Rogers' salary, $139,000. Not enough for what Fred Rogers did. Not enough, I think. But think about his ripple, guys. How many humans did he inspire in his time? Other educators too. I was watching the Fred Rogers story on one of the streaming platforms, and I'm always so in awe. I love his mother's cardigan line. I wish they would go and take every cardigan he ever had and replicate them and like mass produce them for us. I want it so bad. I think they should sell them to keep PBS alive. Somebody tag PBS with that idea. What if we got a special PBS Mr. Rogers sweater for donating? Okay. Anyway, building, not taking. So guys, if something is resonating with you, and I'm kind of skimming the comments here, so proud of Bill for being sober, for sure. What is it? What is that thing that's really hitting you right now? Is there anything you want to work on to improve your ripple, your marketing, your status, what is it? You know, words on the street all the time. People are either going to say nice things or they're not. People are either going to have success stories with you or they're not. But when I look to results, when I look to the people who I've had to let go of and why, it was because I was tending my garden and it was weeds. It wasn't helping the things it needed to, right? Like I don't want to cut people out, but I have to sometimes when they're taking away from the things I'm growing. Even my plants, when I'm staring at them now and I think about it, I have to prune new growth. Like there will be new arms and leaves that come off of the plants and I have to pull them off, even though it looks like growth. They are suckers. They showed up in between the split of the vine and they are going to take away from the nutrients of the flowering pieces of it. It's up to those humans to determine if they are going to be adding to your growth or not. If you've ever gardened, you know there are some things you plant together. Some things help the other plant grow. And so in Nebraska, it's very common to see dual plant sets all the time. And that's where I actually found out about it. And I think about that. There can be two brands growing together. Felipe and I, for example, we are different. We are the same in a lot of ways, but we are different. We offer different services, and the way we work for each other is even different. Oh, Felipe, hold on, I'm going to share this. I was thinking about him, and then he just got in my DMs here, so I'm going to invite him up. But it doesn't make it wrong. We are kind of like those beans and tomatoes, right? Where you plant us together and we help each other's soil reinforce the other's growth. That's beautiful alignment. Aaron Gibson has been fantastic for my growth. That song that you have playing when I first opened the thing, that was produced by him. Felipe, Aaron, and I were in books together. That's really cool. It pollinates and does. But there's, okay. I thought I ended my stream. But there's others that become weeds. Sometimes it's just people who are in your garden to try to take the nutrients, right? I've had people who would show up to my events, and then while you're in my event, they DM you saying we should work together, which is cool, I guess. But they would also say, Melissa said we should work together. That's not cool. Those are suckers. Those are the people that I have to pull out of my garden to ensure they're not taking. Do you have those things? And it doesn't always have to be people, guys. It needs to be television, social media. You know, I see alcohol popping up in the comments a lot. Where you're spending your time matters. Your actions, your activities, the things you're doing with yourself will bring results. And you have to figure out what kind they are. You will write that story either way. And you do have to get to work on the things you want, but you also have to stop the things you don't. It is not, hey, as soon as I become a millionaire, I can stop doing this thing. It's not going to work that way. Trust me, if I want to lose weight, I'm not going to do it better when I'm a millionaire, because I'm going to have better options to eat. I'm going to have better food. It's going to be richer. I'm going to get to travel the world. I'll probably go to 5 different spots in one day just to go have food. Unless I start training now, get that mindset down now, get mentally prepared now, and then I pull off the jelly roll situation, right? Where no matter where he goes in the world, he's finding that shift, that service, that exercise to keep him on track. No matter what he does now, he is health focused. And I love that for him. It's a mindset shift. He also probably changed the people he hung out with. And if you focus on Jelly Roll's story at all, he was a drug addict, he was a criminal, and he changed his life. Now he's giving back to those people. But he first had to eliminate some of his circle to be able to grow. He had to clean out the garden. Doesn't mean you can't revisit next season. You can come back stronger and definitely be able to try again. But you have to determine what that looks like all the time. Felipe, welcome to the stage. What's coming up for you?
Hello, good morning, everyone. I was listening to you talk, and I just really wanted to share my experience with you, Melissa, because, people see one side of you, I think, sometimes. And one of the things that I know, when I've needed an accountability coach, the first person that came to mind was Melissa Houston. And the reason is because she's great at doing it. First of all, she will hold you accountable. She'll be honest. She'll be direct. But what I don't think everyone always realizes, especially when you and I are joking back and forth and we're giving each other elbows, is the compassion, the care, the sincerity that you have for the people you're coaching is second to none. And that's what I think makes you a great coach, is because you're able to be empathetic with them and understand what they're going through. But you know how to give them that tough love that they need, that they're looking for. I know when I'm having in my moments of, I know what I need to do. Why am I not doing it? Like, I said I was going to do ABC today. Why didn't I do ABC today? Why am I procrastinating? What's stopping me? And sometimes you need that person. And it could be somebody in your home, but somebody in your home, it's easier to say no to. It's easier to make excuses. When you have an accountability coach like Melissa Houston, she's going to sit there and like, when I'm doing it with her, I'm like, okay, crap, if I don't do this for her, I'm going to get an email from her or a text, or she's going to call me, and I don't want to say I didn't do it. And that's the beauty of it. It's not fear of her calling me. It's I want to get this done. And the other thing that's beautiful about it is that when she does hold you accountable, it's that, hey, send me everything you do as you do it so I can give you some positive reinforcement throughout your day. So I'm sharing that experience from you firsthand. I've experienced that from her doing that for me. And I just want people to know that if you need that support, if you need that extra push to get to your goal, to stay focused, Melissa Houston's the person for it. And, she and I joke around a lot about it. We give each other a lot of grief and crap. But the reason we work together is because we both believe in each other and we both believe that what we do is really good. And that's why we partner together. And so I just want to come up here. I'm not trying to sit there and blow smoke up your butt because, I don't do that to you, Melissa. I'm just
I
speaking
wouldn't let you. I'd be like, stop lying to them. I'm never nice to you. I would totally stake my claim. But truth is, I appreciate that because when asked or when allowed, because I've adopted coaching clients too, but it does shift. There is a difference between how he and I engage on Sundays and how you guys see us even now, versus what's happening in the text thread when it's business time. I gave him 5 minutes when he said 9 o'clock. At 9:05, I was calling. It was like he hasn't checked in. He's late for my meeting.
I don't want my sister coaching me. I want to banter with my sister. I want to argue with my sister. I want to have fun with my sister. If I need a coach, I need that coach hat on.
Yeah. And so it's hard because, to be able to switch gears is not easy. But when you have that ability to go, this is what I know I need because Melissa's the only one that's going to make me run. You call the person who makes you run. If you want to go to the military, I keep thinking about junior high and high school. I was going to be an ROTC and there were friends who I could call and we could go run for 5 miles. No question. They were going to make me run as fast as I could. And there were others who were like, girl, are you serious? You want me to go with you? And I was never going to run my fastest or get prepped for the military with the people who wanted to walk the track in PE. And you got to be honest about those friends because the ones who walk the track, I will show up and walk the track with them on walk the track days. But when I'm ready to run, if I wanted to be a Navy SEAL, I cannot call my walk the track friends for that. It's just not going to work. And if you expect it to work with the wrong people, you put pressure on a relationship that is unfair. It's undue pressure. Felipe and I can do this because we both are that crop that feeds each other. We do add nutrients to each other's soil in ways that we can't do on our own. I will keep him accountable. He offered to do the same for me. And I was like, actually, this is what I want from you instead. Right. And it was just that easy to go, no, I don't need that. I need this. And it was cool because I didn't have any question about just saying what I needed in it and knowing that it would be okay. That's awesome. Now, if I said, no, you have to pay me in chocolate and he knows I'm on a weight loss journey, he'll say, wait a minute, Houston, why are you going to make me the reason you fail that? Right. And that's accountability in return. And so who's surrounding you? Who are your friends? Like Felipe, who else in your life, especially on LinkedIn, would you say holds you accountable to get things done in a way that has not happened offline maybe? Is there anybody like that beyond myself?
Oh, no, I definitely, there are people, I have friends who I have worked with that have become that unofficial kind of coach or mentor because I always know that they will say, hey, so how'd this go? And they do it out of care. And a lot of times, if they're doing it intentionally, they don't do it in a way that is obvious. They more do it as a friend, like, hey, so you said you were going to do this. Did you finish it? How'd it go? Oh, how's this going? And it always is kind of like, oh, I haven't finished that. Oh, I thought you were going to be done by now. What's holding you up? And they walk me through it. But I will say that Michelle, my wife, is definitely a very good accountability coach. She definitely holds me accountable, I'd say, on 80% of the things that I need to. And it's good. And I do that for her. And so I think a great thing about having a partner and having that ability to do that is great. But when it comes to work stuff, my wife's not the best accountability partner because she doesn't understand everything that I'm doing. We're not in each other's worlds and that all the time. So I need someone outside that understands the business side of it that hold me accountable when I'm doing business stuff. And so there is different coaches for different seasons. So,
And that's
but
the
I do
smartest
need to
way to
drop
play,
off real
guys.
quick.
Do it. Thank you
I need to
so
drop
much
off
for
in a
leaving.
minute, just so you know. But I just want to jump up and give you support, Houston, because you're amazing, and I hope everyone down there knows it. And if you don't, go check out our website, Document and Act. All right.
Thank
All
you
right. I'll
so
talk to you
much.
soon.
I didn't even pay him for
Bye.
that, guys. Like most people would have to pay for those kind of things. No, but number one, I am so grateful he lets me in. There are so many people who I hold in very high esteem, people who have found success that I haven't even, right? This guy's a LinkedIn top voice. They haven't picked me yet, but I still am in his circle. I'm still somebody he calls on, and he's somebody I call. And that's what I want to remind people. There's a quote up there, and I don't know who said it, but it's, you are the 5 people you hang out with most. Right? My grandma used to tell me, you are who your friends are. And I didn't think that was true for the longest time, but then I became an internationally best-selling co-author with some friends. I got to host some podcasts with some friends. YouTube has decided our podcast is a podcast, and they give us those accolades over there. That's really cool, right? I've been able to grow businesses with friends, take dreams and turn them into action. But that's because of the people I'm around. If I went and just hung out with my friends from junior high and high school who wanted to walk the track, it would be fine, but I wouldn't have the same outcomes that I had with the friends that I've been hanging out with here. It's the ROI. It doesn't mean that those other friends are not valuable. It just means that I have to delegate my time effectively and efficiently to make sure that I'm doing more than dreaming. It's the ROI, right? Activity versus action. What actions are you taking to change your life, and what activities are keeping you busy but not productive? If you could take an hour a day to talk about another person, what would you say and why? Who would you talk about? I want you to tag somebody. I don't usually ask for that, but who is somebody you want to elevate because they are the best thing you've ever seen on LinkedIn? Who is somebody who gives back and never takes in a way that they should? I think Mr. Rogers. I mean, I'm talking cream of the crops, guys. Who takes action on a consistent basis, and don't tag the active people that don't really produce, but do you know how to exit stage left? Do you have a way to set a boundary in your life when you see that the activity doesn't align with your actions and your plan and your to-do list, your goals, your dreams? I think knowing what you stand for is important. I heard that, all these things I heard growing up, and I thought, okay. And now I'm like, man, that was gold. Grandma was spitting magic from those lips. Are you pulling the best people in? How are you finding them? Where are you finding them? What draws you into your friends group, and how are you helping them grow? And how do they reciprocate? It's one of favorite words of Aaron Gibson, reciprocation. I stole it from him as soon as I said it. I didn't mean to, but I had to give him a shout out because that's his word. It really matters, though, because if you're always pouring into a stock that never pays out, it doesn't make sense. There's no ROI. If you're always pouring into a business that never pays the bills at the end of the month, you got to assess. There's no ROI. If your actions are spinning wheels, but you're not gaining momentum or pulling out of the station, that's an activity, but it's not really action. Where do you want to go? How do you want to get there? And if you don't have a plan, you need to get one, because if you don't stand for something, you fall for everything. All of these quotes keep coming to mind. But the truth is, if you don't know what your plan for business is, you're going to stay busy being busy. And then in 6 months, 12 months, you're going to look around like most business owners and go, what the hell just happened? But if you know every day you're going to put 10 minutes away every day just to post on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Insta, TikTok. I don't care. Pick your pose, whatever. In a year, what does that look like? Do the math. If you listen to one podcast a day for 30 minutes, what does that look like for a year's worth of learning? What is the ROI there? I had over 8,000 hours or minutes, 8,000 minutes listened to on Spotify. Just Spotify, not even LinkedIn, guys, not YouTube, not any of our friends. Just those podcasts over there. What was my ROI? My brain is full of content, other people's perspectives, other people's concepts and ideas that I can then chew on and apply and then have an outcome to share or not, right? Like maybe there was no movement. That's okay. If you buy a stock that stays at $1 the whole time, cool. You're not losing. You're not moving. There's no movement. There's no real action there. Is that where you want to stay? If you're not going to move, why would you buy the stock and take the risk? What's the ROI of buying stock that doesn't move? Never goes up. What happens if it goes down? Like both are equally going to happen. And how long do you hold on to that stock that doesn't move, maintaining the risk? Because statistically, it's going to move at some point, right? Do you know what to expect? Are you monitoring the progress of the business? Are you paying attention to the outcomes of the beta tests and the trials and the whatever they're doing to show you that they're going to be successful? You have to figure out if the people you put in your headphones bring ROI to your life. Because this time you've just spent with me, this hour and 40 minutes, if you've been here the whole time, that's how long we spent together. I'm hoping you have something to chew on from here. I'm hoping you wrote something down. I'm hoping it's making you think about what you want to say to your customer, your client, your family, your children, yourself when you look in the mirror. And if not, then tell me what would bring better ROI. Give me a topic, give me a title, give Felipe and I something that you want together on the next Careers, Chaos, and Coaching. You have to be responsible for your outcomes. If you're not getting them, you can choose not to show up and find a new host, or you can ask the host that you want to hear if they can include a topic. You can host a show and invite me to be on the stage and I can come and talk. But just make sure there's ROI for both of us. Make sure that the reason you're doing it is to build, not take. Make sure when you give advice, you're doing it for an outcome that's beneficial and not just to allow yourself to hear yourself speak. I really also want to ask you to consider any advice that comes without assessment. My Aunt Carol loved to tell me I would be so beautiful if. Whose measuring stick? What assessment? What branch am I being held up against to know if I was beautiful or not? Because truthfully, I'm not an ugly girl and then know it. And I've never been an ugly person. I don't think any human out there is really ugly. I think what we do is allow ourselves to hate the one thing that maybe isn't our favorite. We allow ourselves to be viewed by other people's a set of perspective or eyes. And I think it's important to reflect on what people say they see. But the truth is, you're as beautiful as you act. Beauty is inside. And my aunt was never beautiful, in my opinion, because every time I saw her, it was always ugly. It wasn't her. Her outward appearance was fine. She had my grandmother as a mom. Of course she was beautiful. My great-grandmother was beautiful. However, her behavior made it impossible to see. And so ask yourself, in the Disney movie, are you Snow White? Are you the evil queen? Are you the huntsman who's trying to attack Snow White and is super scary, but actually isn't so scary and helps in the end? I mean, what is your story? Are you one of the dwarfs? Are you dopey? Are you Doc? Are you sleepy? Are you bashful? But just be aware of your role, because every single one of those people had a story Snow could tell about them. And truth be told, like, what is the story people can tell about you? The person who had the worst experience with me, somebody who fought me in school, even the bully who was picking on somebody else, their experience with me was the worst day, right? Maybe not their worst ever, but it was not a good one. It was better for the person I was protecting, but I am open and honest about the fact that there are dual concepts in existence there. There is an overlapping aspect. Somebody didn't like me that day and somebody really did. But why? Because at the end of the day, I don't want to do it to be liked. I wanted to do it to protect the little person who was being attacked and not defended. The person who was having their worst day ever, and I wanted to stop the worst day ever from happening for them. I didn't want to be somebody else's bad day. Their behavior created a situation where Melissa had to rise to that challenge. And that's something that I want you to think about, guys. What challenges are people rising to because of your behavior? What challenges are you creating in your own life because of the behaviors you're moving into? I always think about the mosh pit aspect, and I'm not judging. It's always an assessment on this one, especially. My brother-in-law and his friends love a good rock concert, hard jamming, get in the mosh pit, beat each other up, always broken, bruised, banged up the next day. And I just think, why? Okay. For me, I'm assessing that I'm not going in there. I don't want to. However, they enjoy it. And if that helps them relieve stress in a way where they all feel like that's the best day ever, cool. Just don't force the people who don't feel that way in, right? Be honest about who you are and be honest if you're going to start throwing elbows in a second. Felipe and I know that could always happen on Careers, Chaos, and Coaching. I don't want it to happen here. I don't want my friends to throw elbows at each other. I don't want to catch any elbows because my hands want to throw them back. That's who I am because I grew up fighting. Defend yourself. If you hit me, I'm hitting back. My mom told me I'm allowed. But I don't want to do that either. So how do I avoid that? I step away. I get out of the circle that would allow for that kind of behavior to be required. It's a boundary. It's the ROI of being in control of myself is I'm in control of myself. I'm controlling my own narrative. I'm controlling my outcomes. I'm controlling who I'm going to be because I will write my story either way. And I can still be the villain in your story. You're just not going to catch me being the villain with a criminal charge or with a negative scenario of how I've destroyed somebody's business because I just didn't like them. There are people out there who do that. They leave bad reviews, that they're blowing them up in the comments and they've never done it before. They go out and they berate them and share half-truths just to get attention, the buzz. Don't be that person and move yourself away from them because it's not going to be beneficial. It is the house of cards that will fall. It is the kid who comes into your best friend's hours and hours and hours and hours of their life, setting up those dominoes and pushes it over. And who wants those kind of people? And why? What is the purpose of your face is what I would say in that moment. Like, why are you doing that? I do think it has become a bit cultural to this response here. It is a cultural thing where people are feeling maybe more forced to choose sides. I think, especially in America right now, there is a very clear divide of who's on whose side. And I think it's starting to ripple into other aspects of life. I think we're seeing less patience and compassion and care and more aggression and hostility and reactive behavior. I think people have become more me focused, which I think is good as a coach. I do think we should be focused on ourselves, but not at the expense of others. I don't think it's all or nothing for all people at all times, but I do think there are people out there who have nothing and they're trying to do it all. And there are those who have it all and they do nothing. And my job is to try to get that overlap in. right? I don't have everything I used to have in the way I wish I did today, but that's true for a lot of people. But what I have is my integrity. I have my voice. I have my perspectives. I have my ability to share it. And I'm not scared to come to the mat and talk about it on the line. My biggest fear is that I'm going to be too honest with somebody who's not ready to hear it. My biggest fear is that somebody acting in that way is doing it for their own defense because they're so hurt inside that they don't know how to heal without cutting. That's a dangerous person to play with. It's not good for them. It's not good for me. But it's also not going to help if that's the behavior that's present. Like, you can't fix that from afar. That is not, I can't triage an open wound from the other side of the country on a Zoom. Can I tell you to apply Band-Aids? Can I tell you how to call for help? Can I tell you that you're bleeding and you should stop doing that on everybody? Yes. But you have to be responsible, guys. You really have to do the work. And that's hard, because as a coach, I would love to show up and do it. I would love to just take care of that for you. But a good coach will teach you how to do it, right? Teach a man to fish. I can't fish for you every day. I got my own stuff I'm doing. I don't even like fishing. Not really. I like to read while you fish. It's the hook and all that jazz. I don't want to do the work. Just want you to think about this stuff. If something resonated with you, please drop it in the comments. I'm going to get out of here just a smidge early because I want to leave you with my full exit song. I always jam a little bit. And like Gregory says, it is going to be a Royal Rumble weekend. You guys check out WWE if you watch it. I have to say I'm not watching it quite as much these days with my husband not in the house, but I enjoy it, especially the Usos and the whole family line. They are some of my favorite wrestlers, and so we're the Hardy Boys. But guys, go be great. Go have a great time. I know Social Saturday Chat is coming. Felipe's on that show with a ton of really amazing humans. Go listen to them. Go tell them I said hi and sent you that way and that I'll be listening in with you. But if you need help, come find me. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on TikTok. I'm here if you need help. I have a new group. I don't know if you guys have heard yet. It is Document Then Act for job seekers. I'm going to do accountability and job tips and different jobs that come up. It's a little bit slow going this week because it has been crazy with the new job and the anniversary, but I'm coming. It's coming. It's there. It's active. Go find it. If you need coaching, these are the services I can help with. It doesn't matter what part of life. It is all encompassing with me because that is what life is, right? It's all of the things. So if you want to reach out to me, I have a $100 clarity session, first guest only, first time only, but $100, we spend an hour. We will get you clear. We will get you moving. Clarity is where you start. You get the map and then you move. It goes a lot smoother from there. Don't do it alone. Even if you just follow me, like, subscribe, so you come back next week, please do. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Take care, guys.
Sunlight creeps through my window pane. Dreams of stars, now a faint refrain. Coffee brews and thoughts collide in this early morning ride. Wake up world, let's start the day. Insight flows in a bright array. Questions dance like morning dew. In this space, it's me and you. Coffee chats with Melissa. Every cup is a whisper. Conversations open door. Spilling thoughts forevermore. Ideas bubble crisp and bright. Words take flight in morning light.